Hey there! Mandatory79 here, and I'm back for another deck profile video for the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game. In today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be doing one for is G standard formats, Dimension Police, Zeal with cards from P Special Series 01 P Clan Collection 2022. Alrighty then, let's get started. First off, the main deck. Alrighty, let's get on to the main deck. For the main deck, let's first go with the starting unit. For the starting unit of this deck, we have the Grade 0, Larva Beast Zeal. Starting unit, Grade 0, Larva Beast Zeal. His skills are, the first skill, when written on top of by Eye of Destruction Zeal, you may check the top 7 cards of your deck for Devourer of Planets Zeal or Galactic Beast Zeal and add one of them to your hand. After that, shuffle the rest back to your deck. So for this first skill, it's if you're fortunate enough to ride the Eye of Destruction Zeal on top, you'll be able to search the top 7 cards of your deck and possibly add either the Grade 2 Devourer of Planets Zeal or the Grade 3 Galactic Beast Zeal to your hand to increase your chances of riding this unit's main ride chain. And then the second skill of Larva Beast Zeal, when written on top of by any other Grade 1 besides Eye of Destruction Zeal, you may move Larva Beast from your soul to the rear guard. So this second skill more or less makes the Larva Beast Zeal a pseudo forerunner in the possibility you are unable to ride Eye of Destruction as your Grade 1. And with that, we've just about covered the starting unit. So next, let's go to the deck's Grade 1 lineup. And next, let's go to the Grade 1 lineup. For the Grade 1s in this deck, we have 4 Eye of Destruction Zeals, 4 Evolution Monster Devane, 2 Reducing Monster Weaking, and 4 Cosmic Hero Grand Guard. The Grade 1, Eye of Destruction Zeal. His skills are, the first skill, if you have Larva Beast Zeal in your soul, this unit gets plus 1000 power. So for this first skill, it's active in both your own turn and your opponent's turn. As long as you have Larva Beast Zeal in your soul, your Eye of Destruction can function as a 8000 power Vanguard. And the second skill of Eye of Destruction, when written on top of by Devourer of Planets Zeal, if you have Larva Beast Zeal in your soul, you may choose one of your opponent's vanguards and it loses 3000 power till the end of the turn. So if you're fortunate enough to ride the Devourer of Planets Zeal as your Grade 2, and if you've managed to retain Larva Beast in your soul, you'll be able to weaken your opponent's vanguard by 3000 power by the time you get to Grade 2. In case you are the type who likes to rush your opponent early by making a lot of attacks. The Grade 1, Evolution Monster, Devane. His skill is, choose one of your other rear guards, move it into your soul. If the cost is paid, when Devane is called to your rear guard, you may search your deck for any card with the name Zeal that's the same grade as your Vanguard, superior ride it as stand, shuffle your deck. If you've ridden a new Vanguard by this unit's skill, you may choose the same card as your Vanguard from the soul that's the same grade and call it to the rear guard. Then your opponent's Vanguard loses 3000 power. So Devane's skills are mainly to help you secure your Zeal ride chain by making sure you have the Grade 0s, 1, 2, and 3 Zeals in your Vanguard and soul. And the best part is about Devane's skill, he can also let you superior call the other Grade 3 you were having as your Vanguard when you use the superior ride skill, and you can also weaken your opponent's Vanguard's power by 2000 power. So overall, this the Vane card is a good card, letting you ride and add the specific cards you want to have in your soul, riding a specific Vanguard, Superior calling a rear guard to support you in your attacks, and weakening your opponent's Vanguard's power. Overall, despite being only a common rare card, it's still a really great card to use in your Dimension Police decks. The Great One, reducing monster weakening. His skill is, as a rear guard, when your Vanguard attacks or is attacked, you may pay a cost of Soul Blasting 2. If you've paid the cost, you may choose one of your opponent's units in the front row, and it gets minus 10,000 power till the end of the battle. So weakening is a good card offensively and defensively. So long as you can pay the Soul Blast cost, you may weaken your opponent's attacks or upcoming attacks if it's really powerful skill. Despite having only 6,000 power, by my own experience, his skill more or less makes up for it. The Great One, Cosmic Hero, Grand Guard, Sentinel, Perfect Guard. Like any other Perfect Guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, the activation and play is still the same. By guarding with your Perfect Guard, discard a card from your hand and the attack is blocked. But like all G standard Perfect Guards, he also features an additional ability. After guarding with, if you have another copy of Grand Guard in your drop zone, you may countercharge one. So along with being a Perfect Guard, it's also a good way to flip over some used up counterblast to use for later. And with that, we've just about covered the Grade 1 lineup. So next, let's go to the deck's Grade 2 lineup. And now for the Grade 2 lineup. For the Grade 2s in this deck, we have 4. Devour of Planets, Zeal. 4. Ionization Monster, Plasm. And 3. Menacing Monster, Golmanas. The Grade 2, Devour of Planets, Zeal. His skills are, as a Vanguard, if you have Eye of Destruction in your soul, you will get plus 1,000 power. So this first skill is a continuous skill. As long as you have Eye of Destruction Zeal in your soul, your Vanguard Devour of Planets Zeal gets a plus 1,000 power at all times, making Devour of Planets a 10,000 power Vanguard. And then the second skill of Devour of Planets Zeal, when Galactic Beast Zeal rides on top of this unit, and if you have Eye of Destruction in your soul, choose one of your opponent's Vanguard, and it gets minus 3,000 power till the end of the turn. So as for this second skill, if you have Eye of Destruction Zeal in your soul, and if you ride Galactic Beast Zeal on top of this card, your opponent's Vanguard will lose 3,000 power. The Grade 2, Ionization Monster, Plasm. His skill is, as a Vanguard or a rear guard, when this unit's attack hits your opponent's Vanguard, you may pay a counterblast of 1 and reduce your opponent's Vanguard's power by 3,000. So it's a very basic skill. It's an on-hit skill that lets you weaken your opponent's Vanguard when its attack hits. It's more or less serves as a substitute Grade 2 Vanguard if you are unable to ride Devour of Planets Zeal for the Grade 2. And then the Grade 2, Menacing Monster, Golmanas. His skill is, when placed on the Guardian Circle, either by guarding or intercepting, you may pay the cost of Soul Blast 1. If the cost has been paid, you may choose one of your opponent's units and it loses 5,000 power till the end of the turn. So, despite only having 8,000 power, his skill is a pretty good defensive skill. For if you choose to put him in the Guardian Circle, either by guarding with him from the hand or intercepting him from your front row, you'll be able to reduce your opponent's unit's power by 5,000, either their Vanguard or their rear guard. So it's a good card defensively to have. And with that, we've just about covered the deck's Grade 2 lineup. Next, let's go to the Grade 3 lineup. And here we are in the grade 3 lineup. For the grade 3s in this deck, we have 4. New Era Beast Zeal, and 4. Galactic Beast Zeal. The grade 3, New Era Beast Zeal, the main grade 3 to ride in this deck. His skills are, the first skill, Legion. For those of you who've kept up with the Cardfight Vanguard trading card games since the original series, you should already know what Legion is. When both players' Vanguards are at grade 3 or higher, you may take up to 5 cards from your drop zone and add them back to your deck. Search your deck for your Vanguard's intended Legion mate, and then shuffle. So for New Era Beast Zeal, his Legion mate is Galactic Beast Zeal. And then the second skill of New Era Beast Zeal, as your Vanguard, when this Vanguard is in Legion, whenever a card is placed on your damage zone, you may pay the cost of Counterblast 1. If the cost has been paid, you may choose one of your opponent's units, and it gets minus 1000 power for each card in either your Vanguard circle or Rearguard circle. So you have the option of reducing your opponent's unit by either 2000 power if you've chosen to count the minus power from your Vanguard, or potentially 5000 power if you've managed to amass enough Rearguards on your field. And then the third skill of New Era Beast Zeal, as a Vanguard, when his attack hits, if your opponent Vanguard has 8000 power or less, you may soul charge 1 and counter charge 1. So for this third skill, it's a on-hit skill. So long as you've managed to hit your opponent's Vanguard and his power is 8000 power or less, you may restock your soul with a soul charge and to refund your counter blast with a counter charge. So overall, despite being an old card, New Era Beast Zeal is still a great Vanguard to have in G standard and premium formats. The grade 3, Galactic Beast Zeal. His skills are, the first skill, Limit Break. For those of you who've kept up with the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game since the original series, you should know what limit breaks are. So if your damage zone has the appropriate number of cards, in this case 4, you can activate the skill the limit break is listed under. For Galactic Beast Zeal's limit break, it's by counterblasting 2, and you can choose one of your opponent's Vanguard, and it gets minus 1000 power for each Dimension Police Rearguard on your field. So if you've managed to amass up to 5 Rearguards on your field, by choosing to use Galactic Beast Zeal's limit break, you can reduce your opponent's Vanguard power by 5000. And the second skill of Galactic Beast Zeal, as a Vanguard, if you have Devour of Planets Zeal in your soul, Galactic Beast gets plus 1000 power. This second skill is a continuous skill, active on both your turn and your opponent's turn. So as long as you've managed to secure Devour of Planets Zeal in your Vanguard soul, Galactic Beast Zeal can serve as a 11,000 power Vanguard. And with that, we've just about covered the grade 3 lineup. Next, let's go to the deck's trigger lineup. And now for the trigger lineup. For the triggers in this deck, we have 4. Quake Being, Namazaru, critical trigger. 4. Defilement Monster, Dabluba, critical triggers. 4. Dimensional Robo, Die Bloom, draw triggers. And 4. Dimensional Robo Outfitter, Casey, heal triggers. The grade 0, critical trigger, Quake Being, Nomazaru. His skill is Generation Break 1. When your Vanguard attacks, you may move your Nomazaru from the Rearguard into your Vanguard soul. By doing so, you may draw 1 card and your Vanguard gets plus 10,000 power till the end of the battle. So as for this skill, it's a good way to restock your Vanguard soul and to give its commencing attack plus 10,000 power. So That's a pretty good card to have offensively and long-term wise. And then the grade 0 critical trigger, Defilement Monster, the Blubla. The Blubla skill, when discarded from your hand for a stride cost, he becomes a grade 3. So the Blubla is more or less a stride fodder for your Dimension Police deck. The grade 0 draw trigger, Dimensional Robo, Die Bloom. His skill is, as a rear guard, by moving him from your rear guard to your soul, you may choose one unit on your field and it gets plus 3000 power till the end of the turn. So Die Bloom is a good card to have to either restock your soul or to give one of your units on your field, either your Vanguard or rear guard, a little extra power. Now, the grade 0 heal trigger, Dimensional Robo Outfitter Casey. Her skill is, when used to pay for the cost of a Generation Guard, after the guard finishes, you may take the Casey used to pay for the cost and another Casey from your drop zone, remove both of them from play, and choose to either countercharge 1 or soul charge 1. So for this card skill, if you don't mind the idea of removing heal triggers from play, you have the option of either restocking your soul with a soul charge or refunding counter blast with a counter charge. So overall, all these triggers are good cards. And with that, I've covered the trigger line of this deck. For the trigger lineup, we have 8 critical triggers, 4 draw triggers, and 4 heal triggers. And so I've just about covered the entire main deck. So next, let's go to the G zone. And now for the G zone. For the cards in the G zone, we're starting with the G units. For the G units of this deck, we have 2 Cosmo Winger, Unibird Galaxy. 4 Strongest Command Chief, Final Dimex, DX. 4 Heatwave Beast, Geomaglass. And 2 Dark Superhuman, Omega. The grade 4 G unit, Cosmo Winger, Unibird Galaxy. Its skills are, the first skill, as a Vanguard, this unit gets plus 10,000 power for each card in total among your damage zone and rear guards. So as long as you don't mind having a lot of cards in your damage zone and manage to secure a bunch of rear guards, Unibird Galaxy can make a very high power Vanguard by getting plus 10,000 power for each card in your damage zone and rear guards. And the best part is the plus 10,000 is stackable, so the more rear guards and damage cards you have, the more power you can add to him. And the second skill of Unibird Galaxy, Burst. As a Vanguard, once per turn, when this unit attacks, you may turn a card from your G zone face up. If the cost isn't paid, then if this attacking unit's power is 50,000 or more, it gets plus 1 critical until the end of battle. And if the attacking unit's power is 100,000 or more, it gets plus 2 drive. So overall, it makes Unibird Galaxy a very powerful Vanguard. Since the first skill lets you stack huge amounts of power, the second skill will benefit from him since you can get plus 1 critical and have a total of 5 drive checks, making Unibird Galaxy a very great G unit to have if you wish to focus everything on the Vanguard. The grade 4 G unit, Strongest Command Chief, Final Dimex DX. Its skill is, as a Vanguard, when it attacks, you may turn a card from your G zone face up and place all of your rested rear guards into the soul. If the cost has been paid, reveal 7 cards from the top of your deck and call up to the same number of cards as the number of face-up cards in your G zone to the rear guard circles in order of highest power to lowest. After that, shuffle your deck. And then, if the number of cards you placed in your soul for this unit's cost was 4 or more, then all of your units, Vanguard and rear guard, will get plus 10,000 power and plus 1 critical until the end of the turn. So with Final Dimex DX, it's a good way to give yourself more attacks after you attack with rear guards. You can then place into the soul. Then using Final Dimex DX's skill, you can superior call new rear guards to attack with. And then, as long as you manage to place a large number of cards into your soul for this unit's cost, your Vanguard and all of your newly called rear guards will get plus 10,000 power and plus 1 critical, making Final Dimex DX a good card to have if you wish to rush your opponent with a larger number of attacks. The Grade 4 G Unit, Heatwave Beast, Geoma Glass. Its skills are: the first skill, as a Vanguard or in the G zone, if face up, all of your Grade 3 rear guards and guardians get plus 5,000 power, plus 5,000 shield, and intercept. So if you're the type who likes to play a lot of Grade 3s in your deck, if you call them onto the rear guard circle, they get plus 5,000 power, plus 5,000 shield, and intercept. And in the guardian circle is to get the plus 5,000 shield. So overall, your Grade 3 rear guards in the front row can give you a huge boost in power and defensive ability, as long as you manage to strike Geoma Glass your first G unit, or if you use another skill to flip him face in the G zone, making Geoma Glass a great card to have in either the Vanguard or G zone for decks that specialize in having a large number of Grade 3s. And the second skill of Geoma Glass, as a Vanguard, when this unit attacks, you may counterblast 1 and turn a card from your G zone face up. If the cost isn't paid, look at the top 7 cards of your deck and call 2 cards among them to the rear guard circle, shuffle your deck, and this unit gets plus 1 critical until the end of battle for each of your Grade 3 units. So like the first skill, it specializes having a bunch of Grade 3s. As long as you don't mind counterblasting 1, as long as you flip over the top 7 cards of your deck and call 2 new rear guards upon them, you can get a 2 new set of rear guards to attack. At the same time, your Vanguard gets a huge amount of critical for each Grade 3 in your field, so Geoma Glass himself will have a better chance of finishing off your opponent, but also you have an extra attack or 2 up on your way to finish off your opponent. The Grade 4 G Unit, Dark Superhuman Omega. When placed on the Vanguard circle, you may counterblast 2 and soul blast 1. If the cost is paid, choose one of your rear guards and place it into your soul. Then choose all of your units on the opponent's front row and reduce their power by the original power of the rear guard that was placed into your Vanguard soul for this unit's cost. So for Dark Superhuman Omega, as long as you don't mind paying its hefty cost, depending on what rear guard you place into your soul by this unit's cost, you can reduce all of your opponent's front row units' power by that unit's power, so making it a good way to give your Vanguard and all of your rear guards a better shot of finishing off your opponent, or at least striking a decent number of damage. And with that, we just about finished the deck's main G units. So next, let's get on to the G Guardians. And now for the G Guardians. For the G Guardians of this deck, we have 2 Giant Armored Beast Garagamelgos and 2 Great Galactic Beast Zeal. The Grade 4 G Guardian Giant Armored Beast Garagamelgos. Its skill is: when placed on the Guardian circle, you may Soul Blast 1. If the cost isn't paid, then choose up to 2 Grade 3 normal units from your drop zone and place into your hand. And then this unit gets plus 5,000 shield until the end of the battle for each card placed in your hand by this unit's skill. So as long as you've managed to secure a decent number of Grade 3 normal units in your drop zone, Garagamelgos can at most serve as a 25,000 point shield all on his own, making him a very powerful defensive unit if you don't have that many cards to guard with. The Grade 4 G Guardian Great Galactic Beast Zeal. Its skill is: when placed on the Guardian circle, you may Soul Blast 1. If the cost isn't paid, then you can choose one of your opponent's units and it gets minus 5,000 power until the end of the battle. And then, if the number of cards in your damage zone is more than your opponent's, you may counterblast 1, then choose one of your own Vanguards and it gets plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. So overall, Great Galactic Beast is a good way to reduce one of your opponent's attacking unit's power, as well as giving your Vanguard a little extra power, making this a great defensive card for the entire turn during your opponent's battle phase. As long as you don't mind Soul Blasting 1 and Counter Blasting 1 and having more damage than your opponent, then this card will be a great card to have for your Dimension Police decks. And with that, we just about covered the deck's G Guardian lineup. And with that, I just about covered every card and the effect of this deck. So now I'm just going to have to explain the strategy and main play style of this deck. So as for the main playstyle, you should usually ride all versions of Zeal in concession, from grade 0s to grade 1, 2, and 3. But then, if you have the option, you may use New Era Beast Zeal to Legion with Galactic Beast Zeal. And by having all versions of Zeal in your Vanguard and Soul to access all skills. And then using other skills to help make your field more advantageous, like the Vein to secure and the possibility of having all Zeals in your Vanguard by using his own skill to add a rear guard to the Soul and superior ride a Zeal from your deck. And then using other cards like the grade 2 Gomanus and the grade 1 Weakening to use their skills to weaken your opponent's Vanguard's power to make your own attack or defense more secure. And then during the time of striding, you may choose to either stride Geomaglis to fill out your rear guard and to give all your grade 3s power and shield and intercept, as well as giving your own Vanguard +1 critical for each grade 3 in your field. Or you may also choose to stride DX in order to give all your units plus 10,000 power and 1 critical by moving 4 more rear guards into the Soul for this unit's attack. So for overall, the main strategy of this deck is to have all versions of Zeal in your Vanguard and Soul, using rear guards to reduce your opponent's Vanguard's power and to use your G units to make your own attacks much more devastating. And with that, I just about covered the main play style meant to be used in this deck. And so with that, I've just about covered everything about this deck, from the cards, the effects, and the main playstyle. So first of all, I want to say thank you to the viewers for watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. I also hope you all show your support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And with that, I say goodbye and see you all soon.